Okay, we're going to look at some principles of using the timeline in Adobe Edge Animate. Now, the timeline appears down the bottom of the screen. You use it in conjunction with the elements, which works as almost like Photoshop layers. So you can move things around up in the elements, and they are simultaneously shown in the layered list in the timeline. Now, it has a number of options at the top: play, forward, rewind. It has auto keyframing, it has auto transitions, and also it has pins, which we'll look at, which selects where you want to go to and from. And this one is to do with easing, so you can do bounces and linear transitions through there. Playback Out has a scrubber here along there. It's sort of blank here. A good idea would be to go to the timeline menu and go down and show grid, which shows the grid. You can then get it to be broken up into different amounts of seconds to give you more accuracy. This also takes place down at the bottom of the timeline here, where you can switch the grid on and off, and also select the different increments on there. Right, now what we will do is have a go at laying up some shapes on here and have directions, and using the pin tool, auto transitions, and also auto keyframing. So I'll go up here and I will just create a rounded rectangle shape. Now I can just drag that out, hold the shift key, and it will bring it out on there. You can go to its properties, you can click on here and change its color. You can also click here and you can put on gradients if you wished on the next one. We'll just have none. And then the final one here is putting a stroke around it, which you can put a stroke on there. And then if I just change that and make it solid, I'll just change it to another color than red. It'll put a stroke on there, and then we can tell how much of a stroke we want on there. So that will how we amend a shape. So we all drag it along and it will get the crosshairs when it hits the center. Now, that's how you set up a simple shape. Now, we want to have the shape coming on, stopping in the center of the screen, waiting, and then going back out again. So what we will need to do is, it's here at the moment in the center. So I'm going to have it starting from here and then coming in. So we have nothing on there. So we can stay where it is, and we can do this down the timeline. So if I just either click on the pin here, or I just double click on the timeline, it'll give the pin. Now what I will need to do is I'll drag this out to 0.2 of a second. I will then hold the shift key and drag my object off the stage. Now if I play that, it will come in from the left, right? So to just recap on that, what I did was I got the pin either by double clicking on it up at the top, then dragging the pin to the 2 seconds there, and then I held the shift key and dragged it over. Now you'll see that's the point of the arrows, so that's basically where it's going to go from. So if you check those arrows, so I have it going like that. So I'll play that again. It comes on from the edge and does that. Now if I wanted just to stay there, I'll just have it staying there, and I'll just move that over to here, and then I'll double click on 3 and I will get the pin again. Now this time I'm not going to drag the pin, I'm going to just drag the timeline scrubber and just drag that over to 5. Now you'll see the direction is the opposite way that we had before. We had the blue arrows and they're pointing to the left. These are orange arrows pointing to the right, and they're going certainly in the opposite direction. So I want this to go back across, so I will again hold the shift key, and I will now drag it back to here, and then I will let go. It goes back the other way. Okay, so if I draw the whole thing and play it now, it will come on, stay there for a bit, and then move back across. So when you are using the pins, you need to make sure they're going in the right direction, and it will also show here where it's got the arrow, so whichever direction it's going in, it will show you that. That sometimes can be a little bit confusing, but that's how that one would work. Right. Now, another feature of the timeline is you can add labels. They're really useful for finding places in the timeline, and also more importantly, you can use them in code as a location to go to or leave. Now, I'll put the playback head just here where it comes on, and I will just add this here, and I'll also say box in. So I'll call that box in. And if I move the playback head here, I can then put another label, and I can say box out. I haven't put any gaps in there, so as it gets called up in the code. So what we have here is we've got two labels that are on there, so we can identify different locations. To get rid of a label, you would come along here and delete it. You can copy it or cut it and paste it somewhere else if you wished. You can also move the label, so you can move it to another location if you wish to do that. When it comes to moving a label and maybe it's associated content here in the timeline, I would just shift click my content bar here to move, and also then I would click on that and I could move the whole lot. If you deselect that and I just clicked on that, it would move that and leave the label where it is. You can magnify your stage down here and zoom in, zoom out. Also, you can get to the center of the stage here whenever you do zoom, to make sure you're always at the center with the center mark here. And I can just go in and out to bring those things in, and also you can swipe across it if you're using the mouse and bring it up here. Name items down here, so I can say box, and that will relate to it up there as well. You can turn items on and off in here. You can even turn the stage off